It's HPR, member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, and All Things Considered. I'm Dave Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us. We are in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio, very special room. And it's a lot of fun because Taimane has joined me here. She has her CD release for Elemental exploding across the state right now. And just out this week on Tuesday, Atherton concert is coming up on Sunday, recorded this week for Applause in a Small Room. That'll be at 4 o'clock. And our very special guest on All Things Considered for her first time. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
You are quite welcome. And you know what's interesting? A lot of people may have heard your name, seen you around doing stuff recently. There's a big buzz going on with you, but you're one of these cats who has a true early childhood development story. How do you start playing the ook as a toddler? What happened in the family?
Well, before I found the ook, I was just a ham on stage. I loved performing. I loved dancing. Anything to be on stage, I loved. And then my dad gave me my very first ukulele when I was 5. And started putting me into lessons and contests. And I grew up, playing contests. That's kind of how I started playing. And then I started playing on the streets of Waikiki when I was 13. And then Don Ho saw me and gave me my very first job in his Waikiki show. I think I was 13.
Yeah, how does something like, that's a lot of confidence building, all these things. Busking for using your talents at that young age to have somebody give you any kind of money for it will build confidence. But then having a celebrity like that, explain, how does that happen? How did he discover you? Tell us the story.
Well, at the time I was just busking on the streets, and one of his performers saw me playing and, invited me to play and meet Don.
So somebody in his band.
Yeah. One of his performers saw me on the streets and invited me to meet Uncle Don and just, get to know each other a little bit. And I did what I did on the streets, and he liked me and started including me in his shows.
How many years did you get to work with this guy?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 13 to 18.
And when you look back, he's one of these cats who's no longer with us, but a lot of people have been touched by him in different ways. He's helped nurture other people's careers. He's done kind things on his own and his personal time away from the stage. What's an endearing story or memory of something with him that when you think back to it, it's either a great way to remember him and share for other people, or that you just hold near and dear to your heart?
He was a master on the stage when it comes to putting together a show that's different every single night. And he was so good at using every single tool that he had. There's different people every night, so it's going to be a different show. So he would find special things about each person and include it in the show. And I, to this day, do the same thing. If a certain musician shows up or a certain artist shows up, I collaborate them or I include them. He really feeds off of the audience, and whatever they do, he just went with the flow with it and made it a great show.
Is that the same kind of way that Michael Franti and Spearhead, you got that? Because I looked at some of the materials. You got to go and do some big shows on the mainland. Did he sort of see, you can explain how you guys crossed paths, but was it similar where he was like, this would be a great bit to plug into my show here and there?
Totally. Yeah, we met on Instagram. It's funny how that works out. I didn't even see his message until a month later. I was super bummed about it. But he invited me to be a part of it. And I know that he also does that as well. He's brought up beatboxers and other artists, other poets with him too.
And just pushing the limits, like you're saying, maybe incongruous, a little unusual in terms of the instrument they might play or what they might bring to it.
Exactly. He takes these young musicians and brings them under their wing and shows them the ropes. This is what it's like to be in a tour bus. This is what it's like to play for like 10,000 people every day. It's a
That's great
experience.
stuff. Well, you've had several people help you out like that, and some of the venues that he took her to included Red Rocks. The Gorge is also a well-known venue for West Coast people, but Red Rocks in particular. I still remember being a young boy watching U2 in their famous concert Under a Blood Red Sky or whatever it was called from that place. So that's when you finally got to go onto a stage like that, was it a really big deal, or have you just become so seasoned to playing that it's just another opportunity to do your craft?
It's definitely what I live for. The bigger the stage,
you get off on that.
Oh my gosh, that is the best feeling I get. I played the Staples Center a couple months ago for an NBA halftime show, and that was about 20,000 people. And I get excited about it. I don't get nervous. I just want to stay on stage and just be there for as long as possible. So no, those are definitely highlights to my life, and I'm thankful for Michael Franti for allowing that.
No, that's great stuff. Well, hopefully with this record, Elemental, it's Taimane again in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio, new record, and she's doing lots of gigs to promote it and stuff. Hopefully this is going to take you to some faraway places. Is the furthest away you've played, and forgive me if I don't have it right, but New York, was that as far as you've gone, or have you gone even further?
I've gone further. I've gone to a place called Reunion Island, which is an island off of Madagascar. So it's completely the opposite side. And it was so weird. They have mynah birds there. They have the same plants. It was
and what were you there for?
I was there for a festival.
Wow, that's a very small place.
Mm-hmm.
And that piece of one of those airplanes that was missing or something washed
Really?
up there, as I recall. So that's the furthest you've been is Reunion Island.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the world is waiting for you, young lady. And now you have this new record. Give the record a little plug in terms of if people are curious about it. They may have seen the visuals of it. When did you come up with the stuff? Is there any particular themes? I know you did a show at the Hawaii Theater, I guess, that maybe influenced some of it.
So I've been working on this record for 3 years. I'm really happy that it's done. But the concept is there's a song for each element on the album, including a fifth element, ether, which gave me the whole concept of the album. I actually got this song from a dream. I woke up and I recorded it, and then it became this beautiful song called Ether, which I think is perfect because for me, ether means like the astral plane, or it's a plane that it's basically you're in limbo. It's like the space. And regarding music, ether is the space between the notes, which is just as important as notes. So it's a beautiful song that comes from a dream. The album itself is really cohesive. It took so long to finish, and I'm just really glad that it's done, and I can move on to, we'll see. I don't know what's next.
You have to get a copy to Verdine White from Earth, Wind, and Fire. He loves all the elements stuff.
Oh.
So they probably dig the elemental theme that you got going on. All right, well, how about a song from it? And that would be a nice way to wrap up our segment and get people warmed up for Sunday, a whole hour of music from this young lady. She'll have a band with her then. It'll be a whole different ball game, 4 o'clock on our Applause in a Small Room show. But right now, we've got her solo. And it looks largely unplugged here on All Things Considered as part of our Atherton Performing Arts Studio thing that we're doing this afternoon. Go for it.
This song is called Water. There's many different facets of water. There's raindrops, waterfalls, rivers. I hope you can see that in the music.
It's Taimane and performing music from Elemental, new record just out this week, and you can hear her in an Atherton Performing Arts Studio concert Sunday on Applause in a Small Room at 4 o'clock. Our guest today this afternoon on All Things Considered in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio, and a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.